Let's address this one really quick. So Randy says all USC fans throwing a fit about the refs. They had terrible calls for both teams. Take the L and leave. Right. Okay. So here's where we're gonna go with that. How many points did those plays cost the Utes? I'm assuming they're your Utes or your Sooners. I'm not sure which one it would be. But how many points on the bad calls against it? Because I didn't see a whole lot of bad calls against the Utes. There was one. We didn't talk about this one. The PI in the end zone on Beavers. Where was the contact? He tripped. Their legs tangled up. That's not pass interference. I mean, there were bad calls. You're right, all over the place. But there were two egregious ones that even Dean Blandino and, a huge fan of USC football, Brock Heward, who played quarterback at Washington, who has no love for USC, both of them were laughing at how bad that call was. It is shameful that they called roughing the passer on that play, and it cost USC interception. And 2 plays later, I believe Utah had their first points of the game.
Yeah, when Brock Heward is like openly supporting USC, that something's really wrong. Something's really wrong. Yeah, and it was uncatchable even more.
Can we talk about how well the offensive line played? Let's talk about that. If we don't have any calls,
played really well.
I was again for the third game in a row. Just it's why I keep harping on why aren't we running the ball more? They're playing so well. There were times back there was a nice clean pocket for a long time when they were trying to bring 4, right? When they brought numbers, some of the stunts get through. But in general, this offensive line, especially when they get to pin their ears back and they get the run block, I am more than impressed with what they're doing. If you're a USC fan and you struggled the last 5 years watching our offensive line, which last year McGuire did start to shape up, did end up being the best unit on the team towards the end of the year, our one silver lining probably last year. This offensive line, you guys, we really got to get behind them because we're going to lose some key pieces next year. I'm talking about we get Caleb back, but we're going to be losing some of these guys on the line. So I hope you guys are enjoying it while you can. What do you guys think about our offensive line?
I think you're spot on, and that's something that they're playing very well. And again, I go back to the coaching staff. In the first half, you got to recognize, and I think they knew, at least I hope they know, that you're going to a very tough place in Rice Eccles. You're at altitude. Now, Lincoln Riley's never coached here before, but I'm sure he was briefed upon it. But that's another dynamic where you got to keep your defense fresh and off the field. And knowing this defense has had times during the year where it hasn't been able to get 3 and out, you get gashed, you're up 21-7, run the ball. Your offensive line is creating holes. I mean, look at the first – I love what Lincoln Riley's play calling was in the first couple of plays, especially where they handed off to Travis Dye, and Dye throws to Addison, and boom. That was a beautiful play. They were showing new looks. I just think they miscalculated, and we didn't run the ball between Travis Dye and Austin Jones, and we got enamored with the big play, and it cost us.
And real quick, guys, we have joining the stream, Daryl MVP. Austin, I'm going to put you in the back room for just a minute. Daryl, welcome to the show.
Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing today?
Good. First of all, congratulations. On a non-USC note, very quickly, congratulations to your Kentucky Wildcats.
Thank you.
Daryl, I was the only one in our Patreon group who took Kentucky to beat Mississippi State, I'll have you know.
Well, Rick, that was a very wise decision. I believe since something like 2005, maybe 2004, the home team of that series has won every game. So I'm sure next year we'll lose to them.
Well, hey, Daryl, what'd you think of that SC game?
This game is a classic game of why I love college football. This was a fantastic game. Were there some bad calls? Probably. Were there some questionable calls? For sure. But that's a part of the game. It's frustrating when your team loses, and it could be because of those questionable calls. But everything USC wanted realistically to do this year is still in front of them. They still can make the Rose Bowl and play a Michigan or an Ohio State. And I think any realistic USC fan would have taken that at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, we absolutely would have. I mean, heck, guys, We'll take the Alamo Bowl. We were 4-8 last year.
I wouldn't go that far, Tony. I mean, when we saw this team come together, even the first 3 games, I figure we are not going to the Alamo Bowl.
I'll pay a ton of money to watch Texas and USC with Quinn Ewers and Caleb Williams. Like, I sort of a preview of the Heisman, though. I would like to see that.
That would be kind of awesome. And guys, we also have joining us with Utah devotee and friend of the show, Larry Pilgrim. Larry, first of all, let's just reiterate, your Utes played a hell of a game tonight. Congratulations on the big win.
Thank you. That was a hell of a game. Did any defense show up for either team? Wow.
No, I think they got lost in the luggage.
I think there was 6 yards difference in offense between the two teams. It was a crazy heart attack game. So,
Larry, how nervous were you when Kyle Winningham decided to go for 2 when it was 42-41?
I was nervous, but we did it when we played SoCal down there, and he knew that we just couldn't hold up. And it was like, I was nervous. I was more nervous about 4th and goal than I was the 2-point conversion, oddly enough. So, but it kind of, I mean, I was nervous for sure. So, and then
one thing, Larry, great win. One thing I noticed about your team, and I'm seeing also lately with USC as well, is I noticed a number of drops by your receivers that kind of cost you a couple of drives, which you clearly would have had a first down. And it's been playing a problem for USC as well. What's your feeling on the receivers outside of Kincaid, of course?
So Jackson, that one Jackson had would have got us a first down. I think it was like a 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. He's quarterback converted to running back. So, I mean, I think that's the first attempt at a pass that has ever been thrown to him. It was just really weird. Jalen Dixon has had drop issues in the past, and a lot of the reasons he doesn't get on the field. So, but yeah, it was very concerning. I mean, Cam put it on him, and I can't believe they dropped him. So, yeah, that was, and Tim, the roughing the passer, I made the statement last week before this game that we had Dorian Thompson stopped, and our guy barely gave him 2 hands to the chest, barely, and DTR acted really great, and we got called. So I
got you. But so you saw the plays that we're talking about on the interception. Is that roughing the pass, Larry? Is that roughing the passer?
No, but neither was the one that Utah got on DTR either.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean?
We're not talking about that game. We're talking about this game.
I know, but the thing is if somebody's calling, if refs are calling like holding effectively the same throughout every game, no matter what, then you know what to expect. So like, as long as they're consistent, like literally if the ball's out of their hands, like you better act like you're not trying to hit them or they're going to call you. They're consistent, whether I like it or not. I mean, I get it. I'd be pissed if I was you. For sure. I would be mad. I get it.
Larry? Not once, Larry.
What's that?
Twice. Not once, but twice.
Honestly.
And I get, listen, it happens. Refs make bad calls. You guys won the game. I don't want to focus on that. It's just, we lost the game. It's just, when you're on the wrong side of the ledger, especially on game defining plays like that, it's hard enough to take a loss, but it's a little more difficult to swallow that pill when you have calls like, because let's face it, for years we've had incompetent referees in this conference, and it's just so damn frustrating.
Right. Larry, you brought a good point, Larry. You felt that way last week with the call of DTR, and Utah was on the road. Okay. USC was on the road in a more difficult place to play than the Rose Bowl. I think you would agree with me. Congratulations on having the biggest crowd tonight
in history.
That's the way it should be with USC's last stop ever at Rice-Eccles. We go out giving you the biggest crowd ever. But imagine having two phantom PI calls where Brock Heward's talking about that's ridiculous, that's not football. I mean, he went on about it. And then also to have 3 targeting calls. And guess what? The rest went 0 for 3 on the targeting calls, and they wasted 20 minutes of our life reviewing that.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
and sometimes actually, and that was the
Hold
thing
on,
that pissed.
hold on,
That
three
was the thing that made me mad was Utah was actually had momentum, and let's be honest, USC was running out of gas, and I was pissed. It's like, well, great, now you're giving the defense a chance to breathe. You know what
well,
I mean? So I
the
felt like
the
those
opposite
hurt
is that
Utah.
because it was problematic for both teams
Yes,
because
yeah,
it's choppy. You're losing flow. You're losing momentum. Guys are having to wait around, and injuries happen when you start getting cold like that. So
yeah. Two of them shouldn't.
issue. Bad refereeing
Yeah.
is a safety issue.
Yeah.
They've gone way over. The pendulum has swung too far. That it's just, hey, it is what it is. Everybody's got to deal with it, and everybody can see it on national TV tonight. What a clown show this conference is. But
Yeah, I felt bad. I was like, I knew that you guys would be sitting there going, "That's bullshit. That's going to cost us." And
well, no,
with the one with
And it did.
UCLA,
us, but it was on
Yeah.
display. All right, that didn't
Yeah.
add to the quality of the game.
right?
You have the announcer basically saying that's not pass interference, and he was a quarterback for Washington. You know,
Right.
It's not like an ex-USC quarterback like Rodney Peete or Matt Ryan calling for that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
got
No, I mean,
great
I
game.
get it. I'd be saying the same thing if I was in your shoes. I really would, Rick.
You did because you brought up the DTR. So I'm just that's
Yeah.
why I'm bringing that up. I know how you felt on the road.
Yeah,
In an extra hostile environment like Rice Eccles, and now you know how we feel.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I get it. I mean, I don't blame you. I'd be pissed too. I was mad at, when the call was made, and the one that was called against our guy was not even close. I mean, he literally put two hands on his chest. He didn't even really shove him, so it was even less of a roughing. But I get it. I'd be pissed. There was a lot of stuff missed on both sides, and it was just a weird ref game. Two of the targeting shouldn't even have been called. I mean, they were obviously not targeting. So
Right. And the first one that was called on Kalen Bullock, I get it because he was ejected last week for a poor targeting call. And
But
so
then-
they try to ding him up, and you can see that they were embarrassed because he led with his shoulder and hit the guy in the shoulder. So
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Well, see, there was one play, the last touchdown you guys got, where you had a crosser and the receiver was blocking the DB and he was trying to get off the block, and they showed it in slow motion. And your guys' receiver literally had him by the side of his face mask holding him. It wasn't like he had his jersey. He had him by the face mask, and they didn't call it, on that crossing route in the red zone. So
It was
I
bad
don't know.
all the way around. All the way around.
It just,
Yeah, I mean,
it is.
Larry,
It's
if
bad.
if you break it down and go slow mo in the trenches, you're gonna see those plays all day long.
I know,
Yeah,
exactly. They miss. And the problem is they miss it at the key moments where it really matters. Like, oh, this guy held 50 yards over here where the play doesn't even, that didn't make a difference in the game. That's what kills me. So you guys were great. If you I said the only thing that we would have an edge in is the home field, because neutral site, I think you guys would have got us by at least 10 points, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, originally before the season, I thought it would be you. It still might be the Utes and the Trojans in the championship game. And I conceded that we lose this game. I've been saying it as long as I can remember.
Well, we said
I say on a neutral field, if we were a rematch in Vegas, I said then I think we beat it for two reasons. One, you can usually beat Riley's offense, but again, in this game, he scored almost every possession. But usually the second time through, he really, really takes it to their teams. So
Here's the question: how many people in the chat had USC 6-1 at this point of the year? If you did, let us know. Let us also know what you had for our record after the Utah game, after 7 games going into the bye week. I had us at this point 5-2.
Me as well.
So
Hey,
I'll take
real quick. Thank you for the super chat to King there. UCLA is in first place. Yeah, it's a little crazy. Although we'll see what happens up in Autzen. For the sake of USC and our own destiny, and everything, I guess we have to hope UCLA wins. But that's going to be a rough game for them. I think we'll see. It's going to be wild.